Hello and welcome to another episode of Shedcast with me, Pete, your host. Our new show from Garblag Games, from the Shed, news and discussion from across the tabletop. Thanks for tuning in this time. We hope you enjoyed our first episode, which was largely about role-playing games and Dungeons & Dragons. And we hope you like today's zombie special, which will also have a Warlord's £10 voucher code giveaway for you to win. So stay tuned. We're going to give you the details for that competition at the end of the episode, and you'll be able to find out how you can win a £10 voucher. You can reach us at garblaggames.co.uk. That's our website where we put up blog posts about game design that we're doing, reviews of games that we've played, and just our general musings and information. You can find us on Facebook, just search Garblag Games. We're at Garblag Games on Twitter, and you can email me, pete@garblaggames.co.uk, and I will respond to your emails. If you want to contact us for any reason, if you want to give us comments, ideas for future shows, issues you have with our opinions, then let us know through any of these means, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We want to get feedback, we want to get input from the viewers so we can start to make the show develop into something that's really useful for you guys. Just wanted to touch briefly on Pub Play. So we just put up episode 2 of Pub Play, our 5e Dungeons & Dragons Planescape role-playing session that we run in the pub with the St Albans Role-Playing Club. As you can see from the image here, we had a lot of players on Monday. It was a really good session, lots of fun. And this game is a dual DM game where we have 2 GMs, myself and Rich, and we each have a party of players, and I've been filming the exploits of my party, well, one episode on its own so far. And this episode, the 2 parties came together, and you can see the kind of collision and collateral damage that occurred from that meeting. It was a lot of fun, some really good role playing. The moment where Malgay says, I don't want to do this, but my character would do this, was brilliant. I think everyone really got into it, so I was really pleased with how that went. So if you haven't seen that, we're going to have a link to that video in the video description below, so check it out. It's a lot of fun. We won't have another episode next week as it's bank holiday here in the UK. We don't normally do that, and lots of people are off LARPing from the club, so generally we decide bank holidays are going to give a miss. However, we will be back the following Monday, playing and uploading Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, so please stay tuned. I'll fill the gap of pub play with a couple of extra Shedcasts, I think, so we'll see how that goes, and we can talk about some D&D stuff on another episode of this show. Okay, so as I said, we're also going to have a Warlord Games voucher code giveaway, so stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how you can win that prize. Okay, great. So, zombies. Today I wanted to talk a bit about zombies. It's really interesting what zombies have been used to symbolize in movies over the years, from the kind of the obvious, the diseased, the infected, that kind of thing, and the kind of paranoia over the spread of viruses and germs, to commentary on society and the kind of dumbing down, the commercialization, everyone sort of wandering around staring at their phones, not engaging with the people around them, and the kind of spread of this change to society. However zombies are kind of depicted, we generally follow a band of plucky survivors who slowly get taken down one by one in the movie world, in sort of escalating gross deaths. Now obviously one of the main things in popular culture recently has been The Walking Dead, and I think this has kind of really explored the territory of going beyond the zombies themselves, and the zombies almost in the latter seasons becoming the backdrop, and really the question being, what in order to survive a zombie apocalypse, what kind of person do you have to become? And then if all the other people in the world that you meet have become those same kind of people, those tough survivors who will shoot you before giving you a chance, will fight over resources, you know, what's more deadly then? Is it the zombies or the other people who have survived? And I think this has been a really good adaptation of the graphic novel, with some differences and some changes. Obviously they have to for these live action things, but I think it's a great show. I personally really love The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. I think it's a really good example of the zombie genre. So anyway, I wanted to move on to talk about some games. So obviously that's a bit about zombies in movie world, TV world. Now let's talk about it in the gaming world. I was kind of trying to think about how to approach this, and I got a text from my brother the other day saying, have you seen this game? Is it any good? And he put a picture of Dead of Winter on, and I got in a conversation with a friend on Tuesday about Dead of Winter and Zombicide, two different games, two fairly different games. So Dead of Winter versus Zombicide, which game is better? These games are both fairly expensive. You know, you're looking at the £40 to £50, even up to £70 region, depending on whether you get them on Amazon or, you know, different board game providers. And really, a lot of people don't have huge amounts of money to spend frivolously on board games, and really are looking at this as a kind of, if I were to pick one of these games to buy and invest my money in, you know, spend £50 on a board game, you've got to explain that, you know, it's got to be worthwhile. You know, you've got to get your money for it. You know, your money's worth. Dead of Winter is a Crossroads game from Plaid Hat Games, and it's a beautiful looking game. I have to say both of these games are extremely well made. They both have exceptional artwork, exceptional boards, cards, pieces. I think it's great. So, just saying that, let's move on. Dead of Winter, I think, is definitely more of a survival game. You play, to begin with, one survivor in a colony. One of the kind of Rick and Carol type survivors from Walking Dead. You know, the useful ones, the ones who know how to do something. There are some defenseless survivors in the colony as well, who you have to keep feeding, and this is part of the challenge. It's a very interesting game. You begin in the colony and you have to go out to different locations to find resources to complete missions or crises, and this may be, for example, food is running low, go and find 5 pieces of food from around the locations to stock up. And you move around your board sections. Now, there's not one continuous board. We have a colony board and then 6 location boards. You've got your standees, as you can see, your zombies. You've got your character cards, and everyone gets their own mission as well. So you'll receive a mission that you're trying to achieve in the game, collect some extra resources yourself, or do a certain task, get a certain weapon, have a weapon, some fuel, and all these kinds of things. So the game sort of goes around with everyone contributing cards into crises secretly, which are then at the end of a turn revealed to show whether or not you've completed that crisis. If you have, you get a reward. They're often not very good rewards. Often the penalties are much stronger, and this is one of the things about this whole game. It's not a very happy game, and the feeling that it creates is definitely one of a desperate struggle and survival against the odds, which is great. The character of the game is strong. The text and the cards really gives you the fluff around the kind of idea of this colony surviving. You have to make hard decisions. Every turn a crossroads card is drawn for you, and you have to face a decision as to an injured couple may come wandering up to the colony, and you have to decide whether you let them in or turn them away. something happens on either of those choices. It's really good. It starts to build up this whole flavour, and as the game progresses, your morale starts to go down. If it ever reaches 0, you lose the game, all of you. Moving around the world is very dangerous. Every time you move to a new location, you have to roll a die, a 12-sided die, and if you roll what's effectively a 1, but it's a nice tooth symbol on the die, if you roll that, character dies. It's a tough game, but because of that, it's very rewarding. I've played it several times now, and I think I've lost more times than won. But when you win those games, that's a real sense of achievement, and that's amazing. One other thing to add to that is that thrown into the mix is the kind of another mechanic, which is the traitor. So when everyone's given your mission at the beginning, one of you could be a traitor, and your job is to try and end the game by getting everyone killed. It's pretty hardcore, it's pretty nasty. It's also a difficult position to play the game from, but if you're careful and you begin the game by helping out, you can later on really start to screw people over, which, I mean, has got a certain devilish sense of fun to it. Not everyone likes that, and it's optional. You can take that card out. You don't have to involve it. But I've been the traitor once or twice, and it's fun. I mean, half the game does descend into kind of that's what a traitor would say kind of arguments, but that in itself is fun. So it's a really good game. It's about survival rather than combat. It's about the choices that you make. It's about a cooperative experience to try and make it through the dead of winter. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up as well is there is an expansion coming out called The Long Night. Now this is, it can be either a standalone game or an expansion for the original game. And this looks like it adds extra characters, extra locations, and potentially another colony or group of survivors that you have to work against, which is very interesting. One thing I should point out, as you can see on the screen here, there's these little red dice. One really cool mechanic in Dead of Winter is at the beginning of a round, you all have a certain number of dice based on how many survivors you control, and you roll these dice and put them down with the numbers showing up face up, and these dice allow you to do certain actions, and each character succeeds on a certain score. So a character has a fighting score and a searching score, and this might be 3 up and 3 up, 3 plus and 3 plus. Now instead of it being that you say I'm going to go and search, roll a dice, on a 3 up you succeed, what you do is at the beginning you roll all of your dice, and then you can assign those dice to certain actions, and then some actions require just the burning of a dice but not a specific roll. So if for example the colony starts to build up, you start to put more and more food into solving the crises and feeding the colony, you start to build up trash, and the more trash, the more stench, the more disgusting your environment becomes, you start to lose morale. It's a really cool mechanic, but you can burn a die to get rid of 10 trash cards, things like that. So there's some really interesting mechanics. It's really clever, really different kind of game. Anyway, I should probably stop there on Dead of Winter and move on to, just give you a little view of the box again. There's Dead of Winter. Let's move on to Zombicide. So Zombicide, Zombicide is, well, this is a full-on, balls out, locked and loaded zombie killing game. It's a lot of fun. It's bright, it's colourful, it's full of zombies, and the goal is to run around collecting gear, killing zombies, leveling up, and completing a mission. Now each I've got a little picture here from a game I played with some of the guys. We had one of our guys was up in the rooms, you can see in the top left there, and he was creating a lot of noise. Really good mechanic in this game. And all the zombies were drawn towards him, so we could make our way out and try and fight them another way. Anyway, so the board is made up of double-sided sections that you can move around, swap around, and the scenarios use those sections much like Descent those kind of games, and give you a little layout that you put down, and then objectives that you've got to achieve, and a final objective to complete the game. Now you each take on a character. These characters are brought to life with very vivid, colourful, cartoonish artwork. It's amazing. So I should just say this is from Cool Mini or Not, just so you know who made the game. It's very colourful, as I said, and your characters level up, which is a nice mechanic. As you start to kill, every zombie you kill puts you up a notch, and after 10 notches you go up to next level, and so forth. And as your character levels up, you gain new abilities, and you can use weapons in new and interesting ways, and blow things up even more than before. As you can probably tell from the way I'm describing it, this game is largely around fighting the zombies. It is Zombicide. You are there to kill as many zombies as you can, and that's a hell of a lot of fun. You know, it doesn't last as long as Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter is a longer game. You know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. This game can run to about an hour, depending on the mission that you're doing. But it's a really interesting, fun, action-packed, seat of your pants kind of game, where you're constantly surrounded by a horde of zombies, and you're swinging your katana and using your double Uzis and throwing Molotov cocktails to try and eradicate as many of them as possible. We can see these little yellow tokens on the picture here as well. It's got an interesting noise mechanic, so as you move around the board, it's sort of broken down into sections, large squares. The number of people in each square dictates the number of noise tokens you put down. If zombies can't directly see anyone, they move towards the nearest and largest source of sound. So it's quite interesting. The zombies keep moving around the board, so you can go and deliberately make noise to distract them while the rest of your team are off doing something else, which is what we did. There are a lot of expansions for this game. There's a mall, there's a prison outbreak, there's a morgue, there's all kinds of things that have been happening over the last couple of years, coming out, really expanding it, adding new characters. They've got character generation techniques. It's really good. There's a lot of stuff for it, and it's really interesting. It's less sophisticated, I would say, in some of the mechanics, but it's streamlined to make it a fun, action-packed adventure, which it does excellently. And just to cover off, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is the Zombicide Black Plague. So this is the latest brand new version of Zombicide, which puts it in a kind of fantasy medieval setting, where you run around as a warrior or a rogue or a guy with a bow, you know, with magic, as a wizard, and you have to take out hordes of zombies. It's kind of very similar. There's some new expanded mechanics. I won't go into all of that now, because there are a few gameplay videos online that you can go and check out. One interesting thing they've added is these little dashboard character sheet holders, which you can see around the board there. These look like really funky, nifty ways of organising your character. One of the things I've often found with these games is you often end up with about 10 cards stacked on top of each other that you're trying to keep a track of, and your wounds, and various other status effects. This looks like a nice little way of sorting this out. Actually, it reminds me of a years ago playing Talisman, and my dad cutting out cardboard from a cornflakes box to make effectively the same thing, which we thought was amazing at the time. But these we can see are kind of little plastic dashboards that you can put bits in to organise your character, which is really cool. So those are the two games. Just wanted to cover off with you guys. As you can see, I've played and enjoyed both of those games, and I think they're both worthy additions. Both games have got a lot of replayability. Although Dead of Winter doesn't change the board, the scenario that you're playing through changes. The crossroads cards makes every story different, and Zombicide has a lot of replayability, as there are lots of different missions you can create. As I said, it's got reversible panels, so you can lay them down and create a different map each time and do a different mission. However, personally, for me, my winner of the versus Dead of Winter versus Zombicide is Drumroll please. Dead of Winter. This game was just so engrossing, so atmospheric. You know, everyone started to distrust everybody else. You really got in that kind of mindset that they do in The Walking Dead, where everyone's looking at everyone as a potential enemy, given the latest, you know, set of events. Have we gathered enough food? Oh, there wasn't food in there. Someone put something in there we didn't need. Who did that? What's going on? There are too many zombies gathering. We need to build barricades. We need to get out and find new tools, new kit. How do we do that? Where do we go? It's just, it's a really good game. It's full of tense moments, and if you win, the payoff is huge. Okay, so that is my versus Dead of Winter and Zombicide. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about the games. Just, you know, my view on them. Feel free to comment below to talk about them, to send me emails, thoughts, message us on Garblag Games to talk about that. Now, very quickly, I just wanted to talk about another versus that's coming up. This one I can't talk at length about because these games aren't out yet. However, one of the reasons I didn't choose Zombicide over Dead of Winter as well is because it's kind of crossing over into the miniatures game world. It's really starting to become more of the kind of miniature adventure role-playing game world. And there are two new games coming out which are more on the wargaming side, which will hopefully really satisfy that kind of that area, that need for that kind of miniatures game, rather than an atmospheric, characterful board game. So let's have a look. So we have All Out War from Mantic Games versus Project Z, I assume it's pronounced, from Warlord Games. Now this is really interesting because these games, as far as I can see, are ridiculously similar. Mantic Games have scored a bit of a goal here. They've got the IP for the Walking Dead graphic novels. So their miniatures game, as they've dubbed it, I'm sure they don't want to term it war game or skirmish game. Their miniatures game is based on the Walking Dead content and has got some absolutely amazing looking artwork, which has, you know, been lifted from the graphic novels, but the miniatures have been made to look so close to the artwork. It's really cool. You can have a model of Rick and Carl with his little sheriff's hat on. You know, they're right there in the pieces, and they're quality pieces. The zombies look amazing. I've watched a couple of playthrough videos. Obviously haven't been able to get my hands on this yet, but it looks very interesting. In the game, it's a game for 2 players, and you both play a gang of survivors. The zombies are a kind of automated third-party obstacle in the game. There are loot counters dotted around the board that you're trying to retrieve, and obviously there'll be some objectives and missions that you need to follow. Now, it looks very interesting. You can go over to beastsofwar.com and check out their playthrough videos with, I think it was Rich from Mantic Games, and check that out. They've got some interesting dice mechanics with different coloured dice. The different colours indicate a different severity of weapon or a different task that you're trying to do. It's got a handy little range ruler that tells you how far you're moving and where you're going, without you having to measure things out. They're really trying to make it quick and simple and easy, and kind of something that you can jump into very quickly. Does make me think about the longevity of it, but their Kickstarter, let me just check my figures on this, I believe they went for a bid at well, they wanted $50,000, and they actually managed to raise $685,000 for their Kickstarter. So needless to say, there were various unlocks and extra rewards that went along to incentivize people to get to that level. Now, we're going to have an episode about Kickstarters in the future, and I'm going to have a bit of an issue with Mantic Games doing Kickstarters for all their games, especially something with such a powerful name on it as Walking Dead. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't need to do that. But this looks like an interesting game for fans of the show and the graphic novels. It's probably one to check out, and I'm sure it's going to be extremely successful. All Out War will come out in August. That's the expected delivery date on the Kickstarter. Now, what we have, and this kind of, I feel, went a bit under the radar, and I feel that Warlord Games really needs to pick up on their advertising. I've only seen 1 or 2 videos on YouTube for it. They're launching in April Project Z. Project Z is a skirmish zombie survival game. 2 players take on 2 gangs, looking for loot counters around a board and different objectives, and the zombies are a automated third-party mechanic that automatically interacts and does things dictated by whether you fire your guns or whether you make much noise. The major difference here, sorry, that does sound very similar, and to me it feels like they're making the same game. It's quite interesting that these 2 games are coming out at the same time, which is why one of the reasons I wanted to do this Shedcast. So the difference is Project Z looks like it's generic in so much as in the starter pack you play either male survivors, you get 10 male survivors who have an assortment of weapons, chainsaws, shotguns, baseball bats, all the usual tropes. So there's male survivors, or you play a biker gang, who are your typical leathered up mean sons of bitches who look like they're out to take the survivors down. What we've got on the screen here is their zombie bundle that they're advertising, which sees you being able to get female survivors, special ops team, and more zombie horde. Now, the major difference here I can see is probably going to be price point. The Project Z miniatures game is £30. I'm not sure what Mantic Games will be, but considering the IP attached to it, and they'll probably be able to get a bit more for their game. Also, I feel Mantic Games has had a much better marketing campaign, mainly through their Kickstarter, which is generally how Mantic Games does things these days. And Warlord Games have done a bit of a quieter rollout, like they did with several of their other games. Gates of Antares was kind of under the radar as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these 2 games shape up. I'm hoping that at Salute this year on the 16th of April, just a few weeks time, and we'll be doing a Salute episode, I'll be able to get a look at some of these, if not get my hands on them. I've checked out the Salute website and I haven't seen that they're down as games. I've seen that vendors are there to sell products, both Mantic and Warlord, so I'm going to be going along to those to see if I can get a view of these figures and see what's going on. I'm sure they'll be wanting to show it off. And I'm hoping that they might have 1 or 2 demo games that I could get in on and maybe take a few pictures, come back and report about these games and let you know what they're like. Anyway, so I thought to help out Warlord Games a little bit in my own little way, I have a £10 voucher code that I'm willing to give out to 1 lucky viewer. All you have to do is like the video and comment on the video before Sunday night 8 PM, Sunday 27th 8 PM UK time. Now don't forget, our clocks change in the morning, so comment on the video what you would spend your £10 Warlord voucher on. Do you want to go for the Project Z starter pack, which you can pre-order for April now? It's £10 off the £30 box, that's not bad. Are you a bolt action fan and you're collecting a German Heer army, a late war army, and you want to get some extra mortars? Whatever it may be, comment below, let me know what you want to spend the money on, and one of you lucky commenters on the YouTube video will be the winner. Now this voucher code has an expiry date of the 31st of March, which is why I need to pick someone by the 27th by 8 PM, so you've got some time to use it on their website. You have to go to the website and use it when you go to checkout. So comment on this video, we'll reply to one of you and ask for your contact details, at which point I will be able to send through your voucher code. on Sunday evening. Hope that's all clear. Please send any questions you have through to me. I'll just put up our email contact again. You can always email pete@garblagggames.co.uk with any questions. Please like our video, watch our videos, watch the pub play, check out our links below, subscribe to our channel. We hope you enjoy these videos, my kind of ramblings and thoughts on the gaming world, and today on the zombie world. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I'll sign off now and I'll say thanks for watching Shedcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the shed.